kind of get things rolling. For you guys, you're welcome to, if you feel comfortable showing your camera, you're welcome to. You don't have to. It's kind of hard to look at yourself all day if you've been in meetings like me. But if you're welcome to show your camera, and we kind of talk to each other that way, you don't have to. Feel free to put a comment or a question in the chat, or just unmute. And it's a pretty small group here with 8 people, so I think it's not too out of control. If you want to ask a question, get some clarification on what I'm talking about, feel free to just unmute and fire away. I don't think it'll get too chaotic. So yeah, all right. So let me get started. Once again, I'm Sean Kane, choir director at Timberline High School. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks to Megan, thanks to D3 for having me do this PD activity today. It's a challenging time for all of us. Oh my goodness, my head was spinning today, as I'm sure many of you are feeling that same way. We're all in this crazy boat right now, and it's challenging and difficult. But hopefully, what I've been talking to with my colleagues is I think the way to get through it is just to come together with each other. So share ideas, share best practices, see if we can get some tips and tricks and move forward. So I don't pretend to have all the answers, but I'm just going to share a few things that I've actually been doing in my in-person classes for a couple of years. So kind of tried and true things that I found effective, that I thought might be kind of simple that you could maybe use or put into your classroom. I've been doing these kind of asynchronous projects in my classroom since like 2013. I was working in Spokane, Washington, and my school went to one-to-one iPads, and so I kind of started designing some of these things. So some of that stuff is from that, but now it's kind of in the forefront. So one thing that I've been kind of thinking about with all this, though, is what I'm going to really have to start doing is rethinking my classroom from, the performance. I'm a choir director. I'm thinking of how am I going to have an amazing fall concert, to more of individual musicianship. And it kind of made me stop and think, shouldn't that have been my goal the entire time, building some independent musicians, And so I think maybe this is an opportunity for us as music teachers to kind of rethink, recalibrate, and kind of balance out getting that great performance with focusing on, focusing on individual student achievement, the skills, and being able to assess those skills. So, so hopefully a few of these things can help with that. So that's kind of my goal. I'm gonna start presenting my screen here. Jump in again if you got questions, if you want to stop me. So let's dig right in. So here is, and just yell out if you don't see it, because I don't see you anymore. Here's the plan. I'm Sean Kane, Timberline High School. I'm going to share this slideshow with you. Actually, maybe I'll just do that right now. Let me do that right now. I'll just share this with you guys. I'll just put this in the chat. So if you guys want to just click on it and follow along, and then this will be available to you guys later as well. Let's get some links to stuff. So if you want to just click on that, you can jump in and follow along. Hi, Gabriel. I didn't see you there. All right. Let's get 9 people here. Cool. So you can check that out. Real quick, just maybe either in the chat or a kind of thumbs up or kind of shout it out, but maybe put it in the chat. Are you kind of more interested in the musictheory.net stuff or the Google Classroom stuff? Both of them were kind of advertised on this. So maybe real quick, put in the chat, put your name, say hi, and say, I'm kind of wanting more musictheory.net or I'm wanting more Google Classroom. Net, both are either. Cool. Yeah, because with the small group here, we can really kind of tailor this thing. Well, good, because musictheory.net is probably where I'm more, I have more knowledge on it. Most of you guys probably went through a bunch of Google Classroom trainings already, and you're about ready to like be sick of it. But yeah, if you're like me. Okay, cool. Well, good. Well, let's dig in here. So you can follow my little slides here. This is what I'll be talking about today, MusicNet, and I'll just basically just show you how I put it into Google Classroom. We don't need to go over too much of that then. And then I thought maybe we could open it up and you guys could share some of your ideas and techniques, best practices, because I am not the end all on this. I've got a few ideas, but I'd love to hear from you guys as well. Quote that I've been thinking about that I have up in my room as well. And this is exactly our situation. To achieve great things, two things are needed: a plan and not quite enough time. That's the deal. And you got 2 weeks to basically pivot to something new. So my goals, just kind of stepping back before we get into the details of musictheory.net. I'm trying to engage my students, build some community, cultivate a space for individual musicianship, and employ meaningful assessment strategies. So student choice, I think musictheory.net really allows for some choice, and that's what I like about it. It motivates students so they don't just have to do A, B, C, D. They can kind of choose it, and they own that learning process. So I enjoy that. This is a link to a great article on student choice. If you're kind of trying to design your classroom, I can talk about a few other things that I do for student choice that I think hopefully will be engaging. The big thing I like about what I'm going to talk about today is just going to protect our time. Oh my gosh, we have so much to do. How can I get some assessments out there that are going to be quick? So let's dig into musictheory.net. Here we go. So what I do for this is I make this available on my website. I introduce it to the students. They have an app called Tenuto that you can use. This is a paid app. They're their premium apps. So these are both paid. And so you could explore getting this for your students if your district or your school has some money to throw at this. You could do this, but what I'm going to explain today is entirely free. Nobody has to pay anything for it, and it works pretty dang good. Musictheory.net has a lot of lessons, so sometimes I will, even when we're in person, I'll encourage my students to bring out their personal devices, their phones, and I'll say, this is a phone day, use those powers wisely, go through a lesson. And some of your students are going to come in at different levels. Maybe they've been taking piano lessons, so they can kind of choose their own adventure. And again, that's that student choice. They can kind of pick something and go through it. And I've had students that go crazy with this, and they're all the way down here to the analysis, and they are learning about triads, and it kind of goes all the way down to Neapolitan chords and all of that. So it gets you pretty far. It's not everything. It's not a replacement for an AP curriculum, but it has quite a bit of stuff on it. So some good lessons here. You could just put one of these in your Google Classroom and just say, hey, your lesson for today is to learn the basics of the staff. Click through this and then take this quick Google survey at the end and tell me what you learned. All it would be is clicking this, copying it, putting it into your Google Classroom as a new assignment, right? Learn the staff, and then put a little link to that lesson in there, and then you could assign that to your students. Learn the staff. I would probably title it something better than that. You could put it in your music theory section, okay? So it could just be as much as doing the lessons and then put a Google form along with it to kind of check for understanding is what I would do with that. But the really cool thing that I think they do is these exercises. So students can practice exercises with this. I have a lot of choir students that come in even at the high school level and they don't know the names of the notes. And I'm sure everybody has various levels of students in here. And so there's just quick exercises on the names of the notes. Okay, oh, that's a D sharp, okay. And some of them are gonna get it and they're gonna nail it, and then they don't get it. If they're like, oh, what is that? Oh, I don't know, B sharp, oh no, wait, that's, they'll keep going until you get it right, and it keeps track of your score up here. Now that's kind of fun. It's just an exercise that they can practice on their own, and they can work on it in class. But the main application that I think is interesting is if you scroll down, so you go to exercises here, and again, jump in and just yell out or put something in the chat if you are having any questions. If you go down here, exercise customizer for teachers, this is the moneymaker right here. So what you can do is with this, you can choose your own exercise that you want your students to do. Okay, so let's say I'm working on my sophomore, I have a sophomore women's ensemble, and I'm pretty sure a lot of them don't know the names of the notes, or I just want to check if they do. I'm going to leave them in treble clef, and in that range, that's fine. And I'm going to go ahead and, because it's note names, I don't put keys. I won't be that evil quite yet. No helpers. Helpers means that they could get a little, like, you could click on it and they would just give you the answer. So leave that off. Accidentals, sure, we'll leave accidentals on. So you can customize it. Challenge mode, you're going to want to click that. The bottom, challenge mode. You can give them a time limit if you wanted to. I usually don't have a time limit, but I'll give them make sure you do this with a question limit. Otherwise, I've had kids where I forgot to do this and they'll do the exercise and it just keeps going, and they come up to me and they're like, Mr. Kane, I've done 145 of them. Can I stop now? I'm like, yes, please stop. So do a question limit of 20. You can do this either way. Multiple attempts means that it won't go into the next question until they get it right. So that's kind of up to you. If you want them to kind of have that learning experience, that's where the multiple attempts are. I usually turn it off though. And just so if they get it wrong for these actual, or kind of more like a quiz, they get it wrong, boom, they got it wrong, and they're gonna have to try again. So every time you make a change, it puts a little link at the bottom. I hope you can see this. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna highlight this link, okay, down here. And so you can click on it, and this brings you to the actual exercise. So this is a unique web address right here for this exercise that you've customized. So you can copy that web address and again, bring it into your Google Classroom. And I've done this here, but I'll just do another one on note names, just so you can see what I do. I'm going to create one. Okay, note names 2, complete the quiz. Okay, and I will talk to you about how they're going to get it back to you in just a little bit. And you're going to add the link. And then what they'll do is that will bring them in their Google Classroom. That will bring them on that note names. It's showing up here. That'll bring them to that exact quiz. Okay. So, sorry, note names 2. And kind of drag that into your music theory quiz section. I didn't type it all in here, but I'll show you what my note names directions have. And you can just copy all this stuff. I'll give it to you because there's kind of a little process at the end of it. Okay. And so they're going to take the quiz.
Sean, can we jump back really quick back to your challenge mode there? I've worked with this a little bit last year. Yeah. And I just found something that was kind of neat. And you were talking about taking over that link that they give you for that challenge mode. If you take the challenge mode off, and so you take off the challenge and you take off all of the time limit and all of the limit of how many questions they get, it's an excellent way for them to practice it. And it gives you 2 different codes. You know, so if you have the challenge mode off, the students can just practice like 150 times. And whenever they're ready to take your challenge, it would be a different code that the computer gives you. So you can make sure that you label those differently, and just a way to practice what they're going to take a
Let me go back to that so you guys can see what we're talking about here. So so if we go back to that exercises on musictheory.net, you're going to go to the customizer. This is where you're going to create basically your quiz. And so take a look down here. When you turn this on and off, if you take this and challenge mode off, we want all of that off. So if you trick all that off, these little things, it changes these at the bottom, the actual exercise. So every time you make a change, I don't know if you see that, it just changes a couple letters down there. So so every time you make any kind of a change, it's a unique web address down there. So yeah, that's a smart idea. Just put a practice one and label it practice. So I'd have the challenge mode off, and I would take this web address and put it in my Google Classroom as practice. And then I'd have the other one as this is the quiz now that you get. And you could, have a time limit. You could make it, you only got a half hour to do it. and then you're out of time. And you can set the number of questions like that. So yeah, thank you. That's an awesome, Gabriel. So yeah, so that's kind of how I use that. And with turning it back in then, what I do is I put the directions in there. Before I was using Google Classroom, I would have them basically, well, let me go through it. I'll just show you what it looks like. Let's take this quiz here. So learning the names of the notes, right? So we're going to start the challenge. I've done it before. Okay, I'm doing pretty good. I'm feeling good about this. And I'm just going to, for the ease of time, just go get a bunch wrong. Not doing great anymore. Oh, dang it. So it gives me my high score, my last score. Let's say I did better, though. I tried it a bunch of times. I'm going to take my high score there, and that is 4 out of 20. Well, hopefully they get, you can set some parameters. I want you to get at least an 80%. So yay, that was my high score. So they can click on that high score, and it's going to give them a progress report. The first time they do it, that last time I'd already done this, so they're going to have to sign the report. So I put that in the directions on my Google Classroom here. View report, and then sign it. And that shows me that that's their report. So I'm just going to put my name in there, John Kane, and let's sign the report. That gives you this little verification code. If you wanted to check that code, you can put it in, and it'll kind of verify that that's an actual real progress report, and they didn't actually just kind of make this up somehow. Kids are pretty tech savvy. Usually they're not going to do that. I've never actually gone and verified one, but I always tell them that, so that there's kind of a little incentive for them to make sure they're doing their own work. This little progress report shows you how long they took. They only took 12 seconds on it. Oh yeah, I can see. And they only got 2 out of 10. Tells you what they did, what clefs, tells you if there was helpers on, tells you if we were in challenge mode or not, and it gives you the parameters of it. Okay. So a couple ways that you can get this back. You can, a lot of kids might be using this on their phone and doing it on their phone, which in my class, I think it's fine, or they might be using a computer, but on their phone, I just have them take a screenshot of this and then submit that actual photo back to me of this. So they're just taking a screenshot of this. They have to get this to me somehow, okay? And that's what they're going to turn in their assignment of Google Classroom. They could print this as a PDF and then attach that. So they would save that. Okay, notification, Sean Kane, and then you can make whatever parameters you want. You could tell them, you know what, I want the date, or you could put on there, if you wanted to save a little time for yourself, the score. I try to make this as easy as possible. So 2 out of 20. You can put whatever you want on there, but kind of identify it somehow. But it'll be Google Classroom, so they'll be able to find it. And then they can just upload that PDF and in their assignment in Google Classroom for you. And then all you'd have to do is go through, and again, that'll save some time. You go through and you go, okay, cool, they did their assignment, and I'm just going to check and input what score they got. Or you could just see if they got it done and just get a completion grade. And you can kind of choose how you want to do the grading on that, but it's already graded for you in that sense. Now, it doesn't link with Google Classroom in that way where it makes an automatic grade. So you're going to still have to go in and click and see that they got a 2 out of 10. So that's why sometimes I say just name it 2 out of 10, or put a private comment in there and tell me what you got. And again, it's a little bit of an honor system, but you can kind of check back and be like, oh, you got a 2 out of 10, if that saves you some time. It doesn't take that much time to click on it though. So yeah, so that's kind of the exercise customizer. That's really a big thing that I like to do in my classes. And I have a lot of these. If you just want to steal some that I've made, you can go to my website. I've linked it in this presentation. It's wolfchoirs.com, or you can just click right here and that'll bring you there. So wolfchoirs.com, you can just steal a bunch that I've made already. If you go to written work, steal all this stuff. It's on It's fine with me. I've got my directions. You could steal this and change it for yourself, and just use that. Again, we're trying to save each other time right now. Just change Mr. Kane to your name, or whatever you want. If you want to change your procedure for how to do that. This, I need to change this. This is from my web version. I used to have them email me at an email list before we were using Google Classroom. So make sure you change that. I put in there how many quizzes I want, but you could just steal all of these. These are all the ones I've made already. That's note names, key signature, treble clef, key signature with both. The keyboard ones are good. I like to have them do, you know, again, this gives them student choice. So I have some kids that are like, man, I know the names of the notes. I've been taking piano lessons forever. You know, this is terrible. Well, those kids can come up and go, you know, well, let's see if you can identify chord construction, you know, and you're like, oh man, okay, how do I make that a major triad? And then they're kind of starting to think, oh, okay, F, oh, there's an A flat and a C. So how do I make that? Oh, I'm going to have to natural. Oh, I'm going to have to make that one, you know, and so you can go through this and go, okay, that's an F, an A, and a C. Is that a major triad? Let's check. Yes, fingers crossed, right? Oh, now I need to make a minor triad. So this gets to be a little bit more, you know, more advanced stuff, which is nice. So, you know, okay, I'm in the key, there's a key signature here. I have to think about, well, how do I make these major and minor triads? This is really good stuff for them. There's ear training ones that are great. Solfege syllables, but there's chord ear training. I have some kids that really are good at this. They're like freaky good at this, which is really fun. Intervals are great though. I don't know if you'll be able to hear it. So they can listen to it. Da, da. Okay, is that do? Is it do, do, re? Yeah, okay, so that's not unison, it's not a minor second, that's a major second. Right, and they can just practice that forever and ever and ever. I wish I had this in college, I could just go over it. It's really nice. Bum ba bum ba 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 bum bum ba bum ba 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 bum. Dun 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 dun. Right, so you can have them go through this, and that can be an actual quiz for them. So they're pretty nice. I've got them all on there. You can steal them off my website, and on that one, you can just the web address is right up here, so you can just go. It won't be at the bottom because it's already made. It's right up there. Just copy that and then put it into yours, so you don't have to make them. Feel free to steal. Okay. Another thing I made, because sometimes in this I'm realizing I do the whole. You can steal this video as well. There's a lot of great videos, explainer videos. I made my own explainer video on Powtoon this year, and it kind of took a while, but it was kind of cool. It's one of these little cartoon explainers, so they can watch this key signature basics. Watch me doing it. Key signatures. In my little voice. Basics by Mr. Kane. It takes a little practice to understand and learn key signatures. And that's what we're here to help you with. A key signature is a collection of every accidental found in a scale in a particular song. In this example, there are two sharps, an F sharp and a C sharp. If we wanted to, we could move those together at the beginning of the song because we know every time there's an F or a C sharp. So that's the idea. You don't need to watch the whole thing. You guys know key signatures, but it's kind of nice. They can kind of go on there and, okay, we get refreshed. And then if they want to, you could put those practice exercises. They could practice a few times. They watch the video, and then they submit a quiz. Yeah, so that is, in a nutshell, what I do for music theory. That is, yeah, the basics of it. So what kind of other thoughts, questions? Nobody has anything in the chat. Any other?
So I had a quick thing. Can we, so we can steal those cool videos you just did?
Yeah, yeah. There are links. So the one on the left I made on key signatures. It's a Powtoon thing, and I just wanted to try it. Actually, I was doing a summer class, and they had that be a project. So I was like, sweet, I'm going to do it on this. And then the one on the right, I did not make that one, but someone else did, and it's on the circle of fifths, and it's a good video. So yeah. And then
I would throw out a word of caution to people using this for the first time. If you set up your challenge mode, take the challenge yourself, because sometimes you didn't do all the parameters you really wanted, and
Right.
your kids are sitting there looking at it going, wait, I don't even know what 5 flats means. And so you're like, what
Right.
are supposed to
Right.
have a key signature?
Right. Yeah, I would definitely scaffold it in before you make it like a high stakes graded thing, just to make sure everybody knows what they're doing, and take the test. Yeah. And see if you did the parameters. Again, I've done it so many times where I forget to put the limit on there, and they've done 140 and they're like, can I stop? Oh God, I'm sorry. And it's always that sweet kid that doesn't want to ask you a question that ends up doing it.
Oh yeah, they keep going. They're like, oh, we must have to do all of them.
Right. So, yeah. So I'll put it right in here. So wolfchoirs.com, and see if I can make it a link. There you go. And then I've got written work on there is the tab that it's on. So Wolf Choirs will bring you to this. You can kind of see what we're doing, but yeah, written work is where I put this stuff. Yeah, and just steal them. We are crunched for time. So if I could save everybody 15 minutes, I don't go too far with this, but it does. I mean, some of these at the bottom are pretty challenging, and most of that pushes most of my students to where they're being challenged. So, yeah. Any other thoughts? Or I thought kind of the last thing we could do is just kind of exactly like this, open it up for discussion, like what Gabriel's doing is just, I did this, it's worked for me. And we could even break out. I've got a few other tech tools that I'm going to be employing and ideas that I'm going to be using in this crazy time. I can share that out, or we can, I'd love to hear what you guys are doing as well. So does anybody else have any questions, I guess, about musictheory.net, how you do it, how you would integrate that into your classroom? Is anybody here doing elementary? Most people doing junior high, high school?
Yes, I do elementary.
Elementary. Oh, that's right, Lisa, you do elementary. Yeah. Well, just the names of the notes on these, that could be a possibility. They also have keyboard. If you do a guitar class, they have, I believe, fretboard identification. You can tell your guitar teacher friends that you can build an exercise that is on that. Actually, are they in the exercise customizer? Let me check. They might not be. No. So never mind. Don't tell them that. But they do have keyboard. So if you're doing if you have piano class, or if you know anybody that's doing a piano class, these are kind of nice. So yeah, just play that note basically, and so they can go, oh gosh, what is that? So that's a good one. So yeah, there's a lot more than what I have. I don't have a lot of keyboard ones. I have some. I wish they had the fretboard. Oh, maybe they do. No, they do. They didn't used to. So yeah, so your guitar people can do this too, fretboard. And I even thought about this for Lisa, for you orchestra folks. I wonder if, yes, so you could do this. And correct me if I'm wrong. Could I change this to mandolin and do violin fretboard? Would that even make sense? Would that be useful?
I don't know. I can barely see it.
So basically, it would have, because a mandolin, I believe, is the same as a violin.
No.
Would that be useful at all? I think.
Yeah, EABD. Yeah. Well, it's got frets, but I mean, technically, I guess it's kind of
right. I don't know if that'd be useful. I was thinking about that because we don't have violin,
but I mean,
but it could be something, I guess, where it's like, hey, well, what's that note?
Yeah.
Where would
I mean, if you think about it in terms of half steps and whole steps and that kind of a thing.
Right. So these are all half steps, right, for mandolin. So
right.
So that might be an application for a string. I think they just have banjo. What do they have? It's pretty funny. Mandolin, banjo, and ukulele. So those wouldn't be that useful, but a mandolin and a guitar. If you
That's so funny.
Yeah. Or I guess, I don't know, bass guitar. What do they got? But anyway, that might be a string application where you could just have them do a little quiz on the fretboard. And certainly for the guitar classes. So if you guys know people that are doing guitar, and the ear training ones are great for everybody. So.
Have you ever used smart music? Do you ever use that at all, where they can get in there and like sing back things? And
yeah. I have used it a little bit. I would not claim to be a smart music expert. So yeah.
But I know it's not free either.
Yeah. I think Boise School District is gonna go with smart music though for our instrumental people, and for our choral people, we're using Note Flight, and they have some pretty cool software. But I would be a novice at all those so far. So yeah. One thing I do with some performance stuff, I use Sight Reading Factory, and that has an application where they can sing, and it'll record it right in there. Or sometimes you have them sing into their phone and record that file of them singing it. I have them do that for part checks for sight reading, and they get a little recording, and then they upload that as an assignment. So you can do that for part checks for instrumentalists as well. You set it on the stand. It's not a great recording, but you can kind of get a general sense. Hey, do you know your part? Did you sight read that? So that's kind of a workaround. I mean, those smart music and Note Flight's really fancy. They have this like checker software where it like has a green line when they're playing the note right, and then it goes to red if they're playing the note wrong, because it analyzes the pitch in time with the preloaded music and everything. But for me, I just see their video, and I get to see them. I get to kind of give them some feedback on it. They upload it, and I can tell pretty quick, whether they're on or not, for a quick exercise. So that's what I do. I have them record it on their phone, do a quick thing, and upload to Google Classroom. Yeah. So yeah, guitar and orchestra. Yep, you can change clefs. Yeah, thanks. Yeah. It is nice to be able to, they really are nice for, if you want to do, I don't know, even note identification, you can, for your viola kids, yeah. And if you want to get real evil, you can put a couple of, mezzo soprano clef out there and say, bonus quiz, for fun. So yeah. Any other tips or tricks that are people that have used music theory or things, other applications that you've used it for, or questions?
But I just wanted to kind of emphasize one of the things that I do with my kids was set a threshold that they have to hit. So I have a minimum proficiency, which I think for some reason they reach it better on this than with a worksheet. A worksheet they're willing to kind of toss aside and not hit that minimum mark. But I don't know, maybe it's just because it's more of a game app. Like if I say you have to have at least 85% correct, like they'll come back with that done.
Right. And I think that, thanks, Megan. I think that's kind of something I'm trying to think of as terms of, if I'm going to be online potentially for a good chunk of this year, how can I keep engaging those kids? And that game idea can really be motivational for kids. It really is. And so giving them choice of what exercises to do is motivational. I find that they do more when they're like, oh, sweet, I get to choose. Just the fact that they can choose from 10 possibilities that day is more motivational. And then the gamified nature of it, they click it, there's a little red thing that goes off, they get it wrong, that helps engage them. And then the points. So one thing I'm thinking of doing, go ahead.
Oh, kind of piggybacking on what you and Megan are saying, it's that immediate feedback that they have, I think, because I know that when I would grade papers or something to do the theory, they'd maybe get it like 2 or 3 days back,
Right.
2 or 3 days later, and then they wouldn't want to redo it to create or reach that threshold that was Megan was talking about. But here,
Right.
they can immediately go, "Oh, I didn't get high enough," and they'll just reset it and take it immediately right away.
Right. Yeah, and they can do it right on their phone. Yeah, and I know I'm terrible about, especially when I'm in busy choral season, I'm terrible about grading those things in a timely manner and getting it back to them. And then if it's been a weekend, they're like, "What is this? I don't even remember," and you've lost that learning moment. So, yeah, that quick turnaround is huge for them. It's right there. Any other comments or thoughts? Get wisdom in the room. Yeah, build your own threshold in there for how many quizzes you want them to take. Do you want them to just do, this was when it was in the background for me. I said 6 per semester. That's when that wasn't the main focus. So I'm probably going to have to shift that, being as this is going to be kind of more of the foreground now, and performance is going to be in the background. So I haven't quite settled on how many, but you can say, yep, you have to get at least 85, or you can bump it up to 90 or whatever you want, and how many you want to have them do, but set something that's going to work for you to challenge those kids. One thing that I'm doing, another thing, if you want to steal, to kind of get into that gamified idea, I'm going to, with the Timberline music teachers, we're going to create music tracks that the students can choose. So, excuse me. You can kind of check out what I'm doing here. If you go to my updates and info, I have a little newsletter. But when we are doing online learning, we're going to have at least 4 music tracks that students can choose to focus on. And then what that will look like, basically, is if they're going to do a vocal performance track, there'll be a series of activities, again with student choice, that they can enter into. And so this is a worksheet that will be in their Google Classroom. When it's assigned to them, it'll make a copy of it for all the students, so they'll all be working on their own worksheet. And so if I'm going to do their vocal performance track, I'm going to have to complete all these things. I'm going to have to watch some voice lessons. I'm going to have to submit some exercises that I'm singing. I'm going to have to submit a performance piece. But they get to choose. They don't have to do all of them. They just have to make a choice of what things do I want to do that's going to add up to 100. And so if they've done nothing here, you guys can just steal this worksheet and change all these things, or keep some of them, or change it to however you want, if you want to use this. Again, this is going to be a bunch of assignments loaded in here, and we're all just going to share some different assignments. So they put it in there and said, okay, yep, I did the questionnaire, 5 points. And I did that lesson, that was 5. And then I did this, that was 20. No, now I need 70 points. So it's that kind of motivational thing where they see it kind of come up. They get to choose, and at the end, they're going to get this cool certificate and a badge that says, yeah, you're the vocal performance. This could easily be, just performance, in a band or orchestra classroom. Music theory track, we're all going to kind of combine on this. So I haven't filled this one out yet, but it's going to be a lot of this kind of doing these. It's just a little different way than having them just have to do all of these in class. They get to choose. I'm going to do this theory track, and I'm going to really go into it. Choir Geek 101 is kind of a take on music history, where we're just going to put a lot of videos and go deep dive into the history of choral music and current composers, and kind of comparing all of that. And then music tech is going to be going into signal flow on mixing boards and how microphones work, and music apps and mixing and technology for notation and that kind of stuff. So there'll be some things that we'll do on the whole with everybody that's required to do, but then each student will be kind of working toward a track that they'll do. And again, they're just keeping track of it on their own, and it's not a lot on me. I'm going to be checking in. Each one of these things has an action item that I will get, and so you can check up on it. But again, I'm trying to find a way to gamify it. And I'm thinking like, okay, for 2 weeks, I don't need this. But if there's a chance that we could be in an online environment off and on for a good chunk of this year. So I'm looking for things that might, push me through the long haul here. And maybe you could say, you need to pick a track every semester or maybe every quarter. And you could, customize this and make it longer. You could do a new track, composition or, ensemble based or something. So that's another thing that we're kind of doing. And another way to, put it in there. So it's music theory. They're all just loaded in here, different activities or composition that they have to do to get points. And yeah, so that's another way I might approach this. So a thought, and I'll share that with you guys too. That it's just a Google spreadsheet. It's really simple concept. So if you want to steal something like that, yeah. Gabriel, what do you want the link for this sheet? I made a copy of it a while ago. Share this with a bunch of people. So yeah, take it, steal it, think about it. Just I don't know. I think we're going to need as many little tools and tricks and different ways to organize this to keep our kiddos going. I've made some badges on a program called Canva, but you can make it on whatever editor you want. And so when they finish that track, they'll get, this nice little badge, and maybe when we come in person, I'll make those into stickers or something, and the kiddos can have, on their binder or, vocal performance track. And I was kind of thinking like, well, that could be something for, okay, section leaders, you have to have completed the vocal performance track if you want to be considered to be a section leader, or you have to complete the, theory one and the performance one if you're a band student to be considered to be a drum major. Next year you have to have completed both of those. If you want to be a district tech, you have to go through our tech track first, and go through all of that and earn your badge. And I think that honestly, if I was a kid, I'd be motivated. The training we do for our techs is pretty. You want to be a tech, okay, and student tech would be. But yeah, it'd be some kind of a barrier that they have to go through. And again, but they get to choose what activities, and they would be potentially motivated to go through that. And it could be a way to kind of have your leadership, kind of have some qualifications instead of just a vote, of, oh yeah, you should be a section leader. So that's a thought. That's a little bit off topic. Well, on Google Classroom, not many people said they needed help on that, so I'm not going to go into too much of that. I will say, use these in your classwork. Use these topics. I've been in classes where they don't have the topics, and it's just like a stream of things. So the topics help keep it organized for kiddos. And I also just kind of a thing that I started using, a little about you section. I put my t-shirt things right here. So it's an assignment that they have to do their t-shirt sizes here. So no papers or anything. I just get all their t-shirt sizes, food allergies and stuff. I get that taken care of right away if they have food allergies, and just kind of a general about me survey. Because I'm always doing this when I'm out on, I know we're not doing retreats and that kind of stuff this year, but I'm going to do t-shirts still for my kiddos. But I'm always throwing out these surveys at the last minute and food allergy things. And then if I do it right at the beginning of the year, I've got them all right there. So you can do that as well. Yeah, so that's my deal there. And then it kind of, another thing on the stream, I don't know if you guys are, savvy on this, but I try to clean that thing up so it doesn't post all of my assignments every single time. Some people like that, but I don't. So on the stream, students can only comment instead of them posting. That'll clean it up a little bit. It's okay if they comment, I think. And then I hide notifications on the stream instead of every time I do an assignment's on there. It's up to you though. If you think that that's a good way for their, you know, their system to see that on there, but I usually just leave it for more like your, you know, announcements. This is a test class, this is not a real class I have, but you know, key signatures on Friday. So those are my
Sean.
Thoughts on that.
Yeah. How are you integrating your track system with your kind of your daily class stuff? Yeah.
So we're all kind of building this airplane on the
right.
But my thought is, again, hopefully, I'm going to start a Google Meet just like this. We're going to do a few things. We're going to, you know, build community. But what we'll be able to do is I will have it kind of be working in the background even during this. So kind of after we kind of break, like maybe we have a Google Meet for the first 20 minutes, we check in, I answer some questions about it. Like, oh, does anybody have any questions on specific, you know, issues with the track system? And we would kind of go over it a little bit, but then I would turn them loose for the rest of the period to actually work on some of those assignments in the track system. And so as far as grading, I think I would have just like a couple of benchmarks that they have to hit on their track system. Just like you need maybe like 4 or 5, like once they hit the 20-point mark or the 40-point mark or the 60-point mark, you know, I'd enter a grade. But I'm thinking of it more like a unit project, really, kind of like a, you know, end of unit paper, or like, you know, a senior paper or something like that. So it's kind of like a big thing that they're working on over a longer course of time. And so they'd have a little bit of time each day to work on it. I'd check up on them. I was thinking of doing breakout rooms, actually, a different way to kind of structure our thing and be like, hey, we're going to all in there. And now on Tuesdays, I'm just working with the performance track people. And then we'd go into that. Or maybe I was thinking of inviting like a private voice coach and paying them a little bit of money to come in and sit on a Google Meet and say, all right, voice coaches, vocal performance people, you're going to get a meet with Jerusha Baker today. So you guys are going to go to that Google Meet and I'll pop in with them. And then, and music theory people, you guys are actually going to be going over with Mr. Rodriguez, you know, at this other time. And just to give them something different besides just me, I think might be helpful. So that's kind of my thought. And it would be something that they're just working on from now until, you know, my thought right now is 1 track a quarter that they could work on. Yeah,
that's cool. Thanks for sharing that. I think that's a really great way to help, like you said, motivate, give them something to work towards, also gives them choice, all those things right now. That's awesome. Thanks.
Yeah. And again, my hope is
something
I just kind of keep, oh, go ahead, Megan.
Oh, I was just going to say something I wanted to comment on too, that if you're a band or a choir teacher, we should be thinking about, if we are back in person, best practices are saying that we can sing or play for 30 minutes and the room has to be cleared. So this would be something that it's organic to fill the rest of that hour, where they're not having to just do like, you know, music theory worksheet or something else that, you know, we've relied on in the past. So
yeah, and it'd all be that's things that they could work on with either their phone or a device. You wouldn't have to pass out and make worksheets to fill that time. Yeah, and it could be an ongoing thing in the background. And yeah, and then my hope is if we are online for a while, you know, kind of try to motivate those kids that we want everybody to come back with stronger musicianship skills. And so they're all going to be, oh man, I've got this badge and I've got this badge and look at where we're at. And yeah, it could kind of make it fun and change it from just womp assignments that you have to do. So, yeah.
Well, I guess I like that it gives them a sense of focus too.
Right.
And direction, because I think this virtual environment can feel, we don't have a performance that we are sort of really directing ourselves towards. So, you know, it's that beginning with the target. What target are they looking for? And I think it's a really great way, you know, why am I doing all of these theory assignments beyond
Right.
just to improve my musicianship? Well, you're trying to earn this. And
yeah,
yeah, I think it's super cool. Thanks.
yeah. I hope it'll be motivational. I know it's just a psychological thing, but it motivates me still to like have, oh, I got to get this 100 point, or I got to get this thing, or this little certificate, or, you know, they're simple, but I think they can be effective and hopefully motivational for our students. I feel for them, you know, but yeah, and I think that's our goal, is to say, let's keep moving. You know, you can keep taking great steps during this time. So.
Oh, Sean, any of us that play any kind of games on our phones always want to get to the next number so we get to the next level.
Right. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm almost to 500. What's after that?
Right. So we have to hack that, right? We have to hack that. What is that, you know, in there that Facebook and all of these companies employ these psychologists to keep you in it, you know, and how can we hack that for our benefit, keep our kids hooked into what we want to be hooked into. So in a good way, a productive way. Yeah. Well, it needs some work. It's definitely in its infancy, but feel free to, again, steal that concept, steal the actual, you know, the actual Google sheet that I made, and just make a copy of it for yourself and change the titles and populate it with assignments that you want. Take the assignments that I put in for that a little bit, and you know, share them out. You know, I think if you do find a great assignment, it'd be great if a group or a community of people did share that, and, you know, we could help. Oh, I found this great music theory. I've uploaded them, and we could keep sharing them. But yeah, have fun with that. I think it could be good.
Well, thanks for your time and being the second one willing to do this for us.
Yeah, my pleasure. Yeah. It's absolutely my pleasure. And I think, you know, we're all just learning a lot from each other. We're all going to be, I have a student teacher this semester, and this first part of this quarter, and I was just talking to him, and I was like, man, you know about as much of this as I do. So, yeah, so thank you guys for hopping in and being willing to come to this thing and learning with me. So, yeah. The links are on there. This has been recorded. I think there's a way to get the transcript available as well, and share it with other people if you find it useful. Email me. You can find all that on my website, wolfchoirs.com. I'm Sean.Kane@Boise Schools. Email me, and I'm happy to share any of this material with you as well if you can't find it. All right. Cool, you guys. Thank you. And I'll hang out for a little while if anybody else is like, oh, I didn't want to.
So, Sean, do you have my email by chance?
Rebecca, I don't know.
So I'm trying to partner with Megan at the State Department of Ed so that she doesn't have to do all this and try to come up with, online. Yeah. So if you
I think she maybe forwarded me an email today. Let me see.
Okay. Because if you don't have my email, I'll reach out to you. And if you send that all to me, I'll just put it on. So Wayne and I created an IMEA YouTube sharing site. Thomas from ISU is doing PD opportunity if everybody watches all of these.
Great.
So I did 2 elementary ones, and Megan did 2 band ones. So we're just going to combine them all, and if they all watch it and kind of do like whatever Tom comes up with as an assignment, then they can get PD credit for it.
Right. Oh, that's perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll just email it to you.
Yeah, email it to me, because I just feel like she's like kind of taken this job upon herself, and it's my full-time job, and your guys' full-time job is to teach. So whatever I can take off of your plate would be awesome.
Oh, well, that's wonderful. Yeah.
Well, and
I'll definitely do that.
they haven't had an arts and humanities person that's been a music person for probably 2 decades. So there's finally somebody in your corner.
Oh, perfect. Oh, thank you, Rebecca. Yeah, I'll email it to you so that I'll get this Google, it'll give me a link to this recording and I'll send it right to you.
Okay, perfect. Well, fantastic job. I just want to get that. I just want to get it out for sure, because we all need these like extra boosts for sure.
I know. Yeah, we're gonna need all the help we can get. No.
Yeah, totally.
We're good. All right. Okay, well, yeah, I'll do that tonight or tomorrow morning, first thing.
All right. No rush. I know you guys are like crazy busy, so I'm here for all of you. So okay, sounds good.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, you too. Take care.